Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the next episode of Model Mondays. My name's Anna. I'm an event planner for Reactor, joining you from Redmond, Washington. Before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenters and hosts to answer live. Our session is being recorded and will be available to view on demand right here on the Microsoft Reactor channel. With that, I'd love to turn it over to our host for today. Thanks for joining.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to, sadly, but also happily, the last episode of Season 2 of Model Mondays. This is our season finale, but don't worry, we have a Season 3 already in planning. And most importantly, we get to go on a high note because today we have a really special guest and a really special topic. We're going to focus on open source models in Azure AI Foundry and specifically look at the 10,000 plus collection from Hugging Face. As you know, Model Mondays actually is kind of like a 45-minute show. Today we'll run it over a little bit longer, where we do three things. We start by giving you a quick highlights that recaps the news of the previous week. Then we'll dive into the spotlight, open source models, and then we have a really special customer story for you as well. But before I get there, let me kind of dive in and introduce my partner in crime. So in Model Mondays, we usually start off with the news highlights. So for weekly highlights, I have Sharmila in the studio with me today. Hi, Sharmila. Are you there?
I'm here. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Model Mondays. And Nitya, it's nice to have you back as the co-host again. So
Yeah.
it's been a while. You've been sitting behind the scenes and coordinating everything, but it's great to have you back on camera again.
No, and it's been amazing because I think this year we've actually expanded the hosts we have. We've expanded the guests. We've got 12 episodes. As opposed to 8, but it feels good to be with you here because I think we start the season together and we end the season together, and this was something we kind of brainstormed. I really wanted to do the Amazing Grace style thing, which is at 21 episodes. This is episode 21 in Model Mondays when you look at it from the beginning. Right? We've been around the world a bit, but tell me, like, how are you excited for Ignite and AI Tour and all the things that are happening? What's happening in your neck of the woods?
A lot of things happening again. As you know, Microsoft events are like one of the places where we actually launch a lot of new offerings. But what I'm excited about is also how we're going to show the momentum from Build to Ignite, because we did do a lot of announcements at Build around models and like direct from Azure models, provisioned offering and things like that. So at Ignite, we are going to be sharing how that whatever happened at Build, how we have continued that momentum and built on top of it to bring in like great customers through great customer stories and through real world examples and demos and hands-on labs. So as usual, I'm excited for that. And again, also another part of our product portfolio, the agents, is also picking up a lot of steam and a lot of interconnection between models and agents. So I'm excited to see what we will be sharing at Ignite around that as well. So wait and watch, but it's not going to be just what we are launching at Ignite, but continuing to show that momentum and how things are evolving on our customer side, as well as customers move from just using single models to multiple agents on their end.
Yeah, and I was going to basically tell everyone listening, especially many of our loyal Model Mondays viewers, that our weekly live stream on Monday will not be happening while we're on hiatus, but Foundry Fridays will continue. So we will be there every Friday on the AMA, kind of catching up with what's happening that week. Mm-hmm. And post Ignite, all the things Sharmila talks about will be on season 3. So can't wait for that. But should we dive into the highlights right now, Sharmila?
Yes, go ahead. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of weekly highlights on Model Mondays. And again, this week we have 5 highlights to share, and each highlight has a QR code that'll either take you to a blog, a model card, or a GitHub repo, or for you to actually read or try it hands-on. So let's get started. So good news for model tinkerers, O4 Mini reinforcement fine-tuning is now generally available in Azure AI Foundry. So what it means, you can take the small, nimble O4 Mini model and teach it via feedback loops, not just by examples, but by scoring its guesses, grading using code, custom rubrics, etc. And the key perk is you will need far fewer samples, just approximately 100 to start seeing improvements in your trained model. And also custom Python code graders are included now, both in the UI and via SDK. And there are some use cases like contract review compliance or legal workflows where rules matter that will especially benefit from this RFT on O4 Mini. And it's a powerful tool for shaping reasoning into output that matches your business logic. Moving on, this is a very interesting update. Have you ever been in a meeting where someone starts speaking a language you don't expect? Now, Azure's got your back. The live interpreter API on Azure Speech Translation is in public preview now, and it's real-time speech-to-speech translation that auto-detects the speaker's language, handles even spontaneous switches, and preserves the voice style and tone. So with support for 76 input languages and 143 locals, it's built for global conversations in Teams, customer support, online classes, or streaming. And latency is significantly improved, which is like the big barrier for these kind of live speech translation applications. And it's actually aiming for human interpreter level latencies. And importantly, privacy, style, and voice consistency are part of the design. So this isn't just subtitles, it's actually living conversations. Moving on, for a few weeks, we've been covering Agent Factory. It's a series of blog posts that we have been publishing around anything connected to agents. And this is the 5th in that series. There's a 6-part series. There's one more to go. And this chapter actually focuses on connecting agents, apps, and data through open standards like MCP and A2A, the agent-to-agent protocol. And the idea is that agents shouldn't just be islands. You want them to collaborate, share context, use tools, pipelines, data across apps and frameworks. With MCP and A2A, Azure AI Foundry makes it possible. Agents talking to each other using shared tools, scalable connectors, governance, etc. And for developers, that means less rewriting integration logic, more reuse, more secure scale. And for enterprises, it's better auditability, policy enforcement, and trust without vendor lock-in. This is where agentic AI starts becoming part of real connected workflows. So go take a read of this blog, and the QR code is right there. Moving on. This is an interesting customer story that I wanted to highlight, and this is around a retail story which just got stylish with Ask Ralph, an agentic AI experience which is launched by Ralph Lauren and Azure. So instead of scrolling endlessly on the Ralph Lauren website, you can chat with Ask Ralph like you're talking to an in-store stylist. You tell it what vibe or occasion you want, and it recommends outfits, shows visuals, brand inventory, all tied to conversational prompts. Want something fall cozy, party ready? It's got you. All built on Azure OpenAI and Foundry's agentic toolset. It's a great example of where agentic AI isn't just about process, it's about delight, brand voice, and experience. And for retailers, this could reshape how discovery, personalization, and shopping all interact together. So you should try Ask Ralph. Actually, I have a QR code to the blog, and in the blog, there is a great video that you can take a look at, and also it'll take you to the link for Ask Ralph. Moving on, this is the final highlight. This is a big update. VS Code's August release brings some quality of life upgrades that developers will love and some new agent-friendly features too. So VS Code, some of the top items on VS Code is updates is auto model selection and chat. VS Code will pick the best model for you among options like GPT-5, GPT-5 mini, etc., optimizing performance as well as rate limits. And there are new safety guards. Before agents make edits to sensitive files or dot files, you will need explicit confirmation, which is super crucial, especially when you're giving your code to these agents. And then you also get better prompt file workflows via agents.md, more robust tool pickers, and improvements in how changed files are displayed, like less clutter, more clarity. These might seem incremental, but to developers who live in VS Code, these incremental additions add up to something huge. So go take a look at the VS Code 2025 updates and try it today. That's it. This is wrapping our model highlights for this week, and not just model highlights, any highlights on Azure for this week. And I'm going to hand it back to continue with the program. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sharmila. I must say, of all of those, my favorite still is the agent series that's been done by Foundry. I still think the observability best practices one is the best post of that series. I'm biased, but I generally kind of like encourage everyone to go check it out. Also want to give a shout out to Pamela Fox, because you mentioned agents.md in the last one. I know that she had a post today where she's kind of asking for people to share examples. She has a really nice example of how to use agents.md, so check it out. But what was your biggest highlight from that series this week?
I mean, even for me, Agent Factory blog series is great because it goes a lot into the depths of each part of your agent story, which I find pretty useful to look at, understand, and go into the details. But the other one is also the VS Code release. I've been like dabbling a little bit with that. So that's another big update, I guess, from my end. I'm also interested in that. Yes.
Yes, and if you are around, I'm not sure if you'll be around. I hope you are, because you have customer stories, and then there are some other announcements we can make at the end. I'd love for you to be there. But I wanted to basically say that both Sharmila and I are kind of like planning out season 3. So if there are things that you want to see, definitely come join Discord and let us know. There's a Model Mondays channel on there, or leave us a comment in the chat. We'd love to know what you want to see on the next season. And thanks so much, Sharmila, and hopefully we'll see you at the end before we sign off from this season.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. And now I kind of want to have the privilege of talking about our weekly Spotlight segment. So for those of you who are interested, Spotlight is when we put the focus on a single technology, get an expert speaker to come and walk us through it with hands-on demos. My name is Nitya Narasimhan. I'm on the AI advocacy team at Microsoft. And the next speaker and subject is actually very close to my heart. So I want to first introduce Jeff Boudier from Hugging Face. He's the VP of Product. And I'm not exaggerating when I say I've been wanting to have them on this show forever, because this is a really vibrant community. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Nitya. And it's an honor to be a featured speaker for your last episode. Well, yes, of this season.
Yes, this is going to be the thing that sets the bar for the next season. So thank you.
No pressure.
Before we dive in, I thought I'd give you a few minutes to just talk a little bit about, for those people who, God forbid, are not familiar with Hugging Face, which would be super rare. What is Hugging Face? What's your role there? And how does the Hugging Face community intersect with Azure AI Foundry?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, Hugging Face is the leading open platform for AI builders. So we have 10 million researchers, data scientists, engineers, software developers who come to Hugging Face to find and use open models to build their own AI. And I'm also happy to collaborate directly with our partners, including Azure. I've been working with Azure teams for multiple years to make it easy to do all this work directly within Azure. So I'm excited to tell you all about it.
And I know we have a really fairly comprehensive demo, but before we do that, I just wanted to set the stage. Hugging Face actually has 10,000 models on Azure AI Foundry. In fact, more than. Last I checked, it was almost 11,000. And I know we keep adding more every day. So just for beginners, how do they go about finding the right model for their needs?
Yeah, well, finding the right model, you got to start from the use case, right? Maybe you're trying to build an agent and you want an LLM that's capable of like tool calling. Maybe you want a tool for your agent. Maybe you want to do a specific use case like transcribing speech into text and summarizing it, etc. And for each of those use cases, there are different types of models that work exceptionally well with them. And the way that we categorize them on Hugging Face is through tasks. So a task could be speech to text or automatic speech recognition. A task could be object recognition in an image. And within Azure AI Foundry, as you look at the Hugging Face collection, and to find the Hugging Face models, you need to click on the Hugging Face collection. Then you can filter by task, right? So if you want a summarization model, click summarization. You'll see the hundreds of models that are specifically designed, fine-tuned for that. And on Hugging Face itself, it pretty much works the same way, right? So you go to the model hub and you see all these models out there. And on the left side, there is a sidebar with filters to easily drill down to the kind of model that will work for your use case, whether it's the size of the model, the task, or maybe the library that you want to use the model with. So yeah, focus on the task first, and then drill down to the models that work best.
And I mean, that's a great introduction to get us started. So I think we're going to hold off questions until we actually walk through the demo, because you walk through this step by step. And when you come back, I'm going to ask you a little bit more about some of the other features you're going to show. So with that, let's roll tape.
I'm really excited to show you how you can deploy Hugging Face models in Azure AI Foundry. And before I show you, I want to tell you a little bit about our partnership. And we've been working with Microsoft for many years, but earlier this year, a few months ago at Microsoft Build, we announced a deeper partnership. And through this deeper partnership, which Satya Nadella announced on stage, we brought over 10,000 Hugging Face models directly in Azure AI Foundry. I'm excited to show you how it all works. A great resource for you is the Microsoft Azure documentation on Hugging Face. You can find it with all of our documentation at hf.co/docs. And it will walk you through all you need to know to get started. I want to highlight first the supported tasks, because that's really important. It shows you the breadth of what you can do. There are tasks, of course, from LLM, from traditional NLP models like translation, classification, and also tasks for other modalities like speech to text, also known as automatic speech recognition, and other tasks, as well as computer vision tasks like image classification or image segmentation, object detection, etc. So many tasks are enabled for all of these models. And we have a host of hardware that these models are optimized for, from different variations of GPU instances, NVIDIA GPU instances, to Intel CPUs. Before you can do everything that I'm about to show you in Azure AI Foundry, you need to have set up your environment. We walk you through step by step on how to do that. Of course, you need to have Azure AI Foundry up, and so have an Azure account, set up directly on an instance, create a resource group, AI Foundry Hub, with the project. We show you every step along the way so that you're ready to get started. And the last resource I want to show you from the documentation available on Hugging Face is those examples. And whether it's deploying an LLM or creating agents, or using one of these automatic speech recognition models we talked about, or even a computer vision model, we have ready to use examples, including the code snippets that you will need to use in order to make it all work on Azure AI Foundry. Next, I want to show you how in Azure AI Foundry, you can find those 10,000 plus Hugging Face models. So here I have already set up an Azure AI Foundry environment following the steps outlined earlier. And the place you want to look at is the model catalog. You can find it there on the left side of the screen. In the model catalog, you can find a variety of models. Some are proprietary, like the OpenAI models, and some are open source, like the models from Hugging Face. And to find the models from Hugging Face, you need to scroll down to find the models for image classification, segmentation, as we saw earlier, hundreds of them. Some natural language processing models, like specialized models for summarization, question answering, text classification, hundreds of them. Of course, over 3,000 LLMs, which you can find under the text generation task, and more you can explore. I want to show you what model card typically look like. So I'm going to be searching for DeepSeek and select the first one here. So this is the model card for the DeepSeek coder, around 7 billion parameter. That's already fine-tuned, so instruction-tuned from DeepSeek AI. And within the model card, you find important information about the model and also how to use the model once it's being deployed. The different parameters you can use to send requests, and generally how to use it. Now that I showed you how you can access these models with the Hugging Face collection in Azure AI Foundry, I want to show you how you can deploy these models. And the model that I chose for this is SmallLM3, which was recently released by the Hugging Face science team. As the name indicates, it's a relatively small LLM with 3 billion parameters, and at this size, it's incredibly performant and efficient. You can run it easily on a local device, so maybe build hybrid experiences that can work on device when it's capable enough, or rely on the Azure cloud deployments in other scenarios. And it's also a very exciting LLM because of its features. It enables hybrid reasoning, meaning that you can toggle on or off the thinking mode for the LLM. It's highly performant in multiple languages, in English, in French, in Spanish, in German, Italian, and Portuguese. It offers a very long context window, up to 128,000 tokens of context for your requests. And of course, it's a fully open model, meaning that not only are the weights available on Hugging Face, but also the full scope of training data is completely transparent, and the training code is available, so you can always go back to that to see what went into the model. It's also a good one to show you an example because there is an end-to-end example available in the Microsoft Azure documentation on Hugging Face I showed you earlier. All right, so now let's go back to Azure AI Foundry. I am in the model catalog and I'm going to search for SmallLM3. And there you go. Here's the model. I can look at the model card with instructions on how to call it. And what I'm going to do is to simply click on use this model. This Forms provides me with already set up optimized configurations. So I have an instance that's already selected. And basically all I need to do is to click the deploy button. When I click the deploy button, what happens under the hood is that Azure AI Foundry is going to spin up resources, create the container, move the container, initialize the container, start everything up. So at the end of that process, you get an endpoint that is already live. So for instance, here, this endpoint is in the latest phases of creation. I can already find its URL, get the key to get started. Now that I've showed you how you can access and deploy Hugging Face models in the Hugging Face collection within Azure AI Foundry, I wanted to show you how you can browse models directly on the Hugging Face Hub and deploy them on Azure AI Foundry. This is the Hugging Face Hub. If you're not familiar, you can find millions of models, data sets, and AI applications or spaces on the Hugging Face Hub. Here I'm showing you models. There are over 2 million open and publicly available models on Hugging Face. Of course, this is only the public models. Hugging Face hosts many more models privately. There are over 10 million researchers, data scientists, engineers, and software developers who use Hugging Face every day. And when they need to work together and collaborate, they create organizations. And there are over 300,000 of these organizations on Hugging Face. And the ones that need security and control upgrade to enterprise so they can get SSO and a lot of other features. But I wanted to show you models, and in particular, one model that I want to deploy on Azure AI Foundry. This is Qwen3 Coder 30 billion. It's a very exciting code model that's fine-tuned to follow instructions. As the name indicates, it's a mixture of experts model, meaning that it has overall 30 billion parameters. But when you use it at inference time, it only uses about 3 billion parameters. And that makes it very efficient and fast. It also has a very extensive context window, which is very important for coding use cases. You can squeeze 256,000 tokens in the context window and even extend that to 1 million. Like a lot of the models available on Hugging Face, you can use them directly from the model page. So order a list of 20 random elements in Rust. The model uses here Fireworks as provider. It spits out the response. It's actually a great response that shows the capabilities of the model. Okay, so now I want to use this model within my own project, and that's where I want to deploy it within my Azure account. How does it work? Well, click on the deploy menu and find the Azure AI Foundry option. And here that gives you a one-click experience to go from this model page onto Azure AI Foundry. And that's available for any model on Hugging Face. So let's do this. And as I click here, I'm back in Azure AI Foundry, where I land directly on the model card on Azure AI Foundry. And just as I did earlier with where I just need to click deploy to get started. Last, I want to show you the diversity of use cases you can apply those models to. Diversity of modalities, the types of inputs and outputs that come to and from the model, and diversity of domains and industries. I talked to you about all the different tasks you can easily filter either on the Hugging Face Hub or in Azure AI Foundry in the model catalog. And here, let's focus on one of those automatic speech recognition models, speech to text. This is one of the Parakeet models, part of this family of ASR models provided by NVIDIA, and they're very good at multilingual. NVIDIA also provided space for you to try out the model directly from this hosted application. So let's record something. This is a test. Parlez-vous français? ¿Qué tal, amigo? All right, so I made a little audio file. I click transcribe. It's going to load the audio file and then process it through the model. And there's the result. This is a test. Parlez-vous français? ¿Qué tal, amigo? Pretty nice. Now, if we want to use this model within our project with the model hosted on Azure, we can find this exact model in the Hugging Face collection in Azure AI Foundry. And just as before, if we want to deploy it, we just click use this model and click deploy. One thing I wanted to call out with this model that's really cool is that this model is actually powered by NVIDIA NeMo. And you might not have noticed, but earlier when I deployed small LM3, it was powered by text generation inference as the inference runtime. And when we deployed Qwen 3 Coder, it was using VLLM as the inference runtime. Here it's using NVIDIA NeMo. So it's really cool that you have everything optimized from the software stack all the way down to the hardware. And if you want to follow this example, that is one of the examples that we have available in the Microsoft Azure documentation on Hugging Face. Last, I want to highlight all the amazing models that are provided by Microsoft Research. You can find them on Hugging Face at huggingface.co/Microsoft. This is a very good organization for you to follow. There are over 15,000 Hugging Face users who are following Microsoft to get notified when new models drop. And there are a ton of models that do. There is actually over 400 models contributed by Microsoft covering all kinds of use cases, modalities, and domains. And in there, I want to show you one of those collections. I think it's very exciting. The Dayhoff Atlas collection of models are models that are all about protein modeling and prediction. So a really cool use case for biochemistry that shows you how AI and transformer models are improving so many industries and use cases. Within there's a family of smaller and larger models with the Dayhoff collection. Here we're going to be looking at the 3 billion parameter model. We can find it within the Hugging Face collection on Azure AI Foundry. This is one of those models, and again, I can use this model and deploy it within my own Azure account. And last, I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't talk about robotics. One of the recent releases from Microsoft Research, which you can use in Azure AI Foundry with the Hugging Face collection, is the Magma model. And I think it's really cool because it's a vision language action model, meaning that it's a model that takes a vision, the cameras of a robot, a language, a prompt that you give to the robot, and that outputs action, meaning like it makes the motors of the robots work. And with these vision language action models, you can do all kinds of different applications using, for instance, the Le Robot library from Hugging Face to create your own policies and fine-tune your own VLAs. So the Magma 8 billion model is available in Azure AI Foundry. As usual, you click deploy, find Azure AI Foundry, and you can go to the model right there. One call out I wanted to do with this example is to show you that yes, I can click here and get to Azure AI Foundry to use the UI to deploy the model. But if I want to do this programmatically, I have options as well that are fully laid out in code snippet examples. I can just copy and paste. Here with a CLI code snippet, I can copy and paste in my terminal that is using the Azure CLI. Or here, if I want to use Python code and make the deployment of the model part of my application, I can copy and paste this Python code snippet that uses the Azure SDK. So that's it. This was all the different ways you can use Hugging Face models within Azure AI Foundry. You can deploy them directly in one click within the Hugging Face collection in Azure AI Foundry. You can also browse all the different models on the Hugging Face Hub and deploy them directly in Azure AI Foundry. If the model is not yet available there, you have a button to request it to be added. We monitor all these requests in collaboration with our friends at Azure. Thank you very much. I hope that was useful.
Hey, Nitya.
It was a packed session, and I know there were some questions, and we just have a few minutes to kind of but since you brought this up, I actually did stage some links. So I want to make sure people know about them. That's where you need to go to see the entire Hugging Face collection on Azure. As of this morning, it actually went up beyond the 10,800. So it's this is great. But you also had, and this is the Microsoft org on Hugging Face. I'll also let you all know that the models that are on the Microsoft org there, you can also go into Azure AI and go to ai.azure.com/labs, and you'll see the kind of like a page with all of these. So you talk about Magma, it's right there. If you click on it, it'll take you to their page, and it'll actually highlight the Hugging Face model. So you should check that out. But I know a couple of other things that you mentioned. So I just want to bring this up, and then I want you to talk about the VS Code announcement that went out literally 24 hours ago. But first, you had Olama, and you had other ways to kind of use Hugging Face models locally. I just want to highlight that there's also something on Foundry Local in Azure. So the link there goes to our doc. So if you are trying to figure out how to use them on your local hardware, so you can do iterative fast deployments and testing, go check that out. It's basically, it requires a few more steps, but there's a really nice, there are two different codes here. The top one is from a colleague of mine called Kinfi Lo. It's a really nice step-by-step tutorial that I absolutely recommend that you try out. But I'm going to leave this on and let Jeff talk about this, because while he was supposed to be on the show, I saw this got announced. This is your VS Code GitHub Copilot chat extension. So tell us a little bit about what this does.
Yes, that's right. And I think it connects well with what Sharmila was showing us earlier. So yes, I think it was just last Friday or Thursday, we released a new extension for VS Code so that you can use some of the most popular open models on Hugging Face directly within Copilot Chat. So it's a really, really cool extension. So whether, the Qwen3 coder model that I showed in the demo, that's really excellent for code, you can use that. Under the hood, it's all powered by Hugging Face inference providers, which makes it easy for people to use models on Hugging Face in a serverless way, powered by our partners. So that's, Together, that's Fireworks, that's Grok, that's Sambanova, that's Replicate. We have about 12 different partners who provide serverless inference through a Hugging Face account.
So the thing that was really appealing to me about this is you actually end up learning how to use a Hugging Face model first, and then you can bring it into production on Azure AI Foundry. You can potentially use it on local to do local development, and you can also use it on VS Code to power your AI-assisted development as well. I've put two links up there because the one from Visual Studio Code will actually walk you through the process of adding an API key to bring in any model. But I believe you have to install a second extension from the Hugging Face providers that will actually make this fairly seamless. And I tried this out. It taught a lot, and I need to go dig into this more. I picked a reasoning model, and it was fun. So definitely check this out. And I'll have one more link for you. This is basically, while we're talking about VS Code extensions, we have an AI Toolkit extension for VS Code. And in there, there's actually a tutorial that'll help you convert models in VS Code so that you can take a Hugging Face model and run it in your local hardware as well. So just a few resources so that once you start understanding the Hugging Face model ecosystem, how do you kind of go from discovery to prototyping to production? And this kind of gives you that end-to-end story. And then I think I'm going to switch over and see if there were some questions. I think there was one. Let me see. Okay, so the first one is, I think this, you may have answered it already, but there was a question from Kevin, which said, can you go through the process of putting open source models into production? I think you kind of answered that, but if you have anything you want to talk about in terms of what people should think about for production, feel free to step in.
So that's really the purpose of our collaboration with the Azure teams, to make that process super seamless. And in the demo, I showed you how you can do it either starting from Azure AI Foundry and finding the model there, but you can also start that from the Hugging Face Hub and select the model you want to bring to your Azure account, and then click on the deploy on Azure. Maybe that model is part of the 10,000+ models in the Hugging Face collection. In that case, you just have to click deploy. If it's not, then you can request it to be added. And there are a lot of these models within the Hugging Face collection that have been just requested by customers directly to Azure or through the Hugging Face Hub, and we work to prioritize those. The other thing that we try to do is that when there's like very important models that drop, to make sure that drop on Hugging Face, to make sure that they can be used in that easy one-click way in Azure AI Foundry as quickly as possible. And a good example of that is just 5 days ago, I think it was last Thursday, Qwen just released a very exciting new LLM. It's called Qwen 3 Next, because they see it as the new architecture for LLMs, and these are like super state-of-the-art LLM models. And this new architecture makes it super fast, so it's like 10 times faster to run inference. It's a very sparse mixture of expert models. So while it's 80 billion parameters, it's actually 3 billion that are activated at inference time. So really, really exciting. But my point is that within just a day, our team made it available on Azure AI Foundry. So if you want to use Qwen 3 Next today in Azure AI Foundry, you have this one-click experience. And yeah, I'm really excited about that. And I hope that when you see new important models come online on Hugging Face, you'll be able to find them right away on Azure AI Foundry. If there's a model that you're interested in, just click request to add, and we'll follow on.
Yeah, while you were speaking, I was actually trying to show that if there are models that aren't already there, it'll show you. It's taking a little while to update that, but you'll get a little thing that says, go ahead and request this model on Azure AI Foundry. So it's super easy. Also, the Azure AI docs can't tell you enough how useful these are. Hugging Face maintains them with samples, which are super useful for us as well. And I had one other question. Vikram Tawarel said, is there any way to check the pricing of the deployment? Because this could be crucial to knowing before deploying the model on Azure.
Yes, we make that super easy, right? So when you see that use this model in Azure AI Foundry, it's already sort of configured for specific VMs on Azure. And so you see right away the price per hour when you set up this deployment. So it's a one-click experience. In this one click, you already have all your hardware configuration sort of pre-established, and you can see the price per hour right there.
I have one more question. I think we have a couple of minutes before I have to switch. So Ravi says, even after model search filtering in Hugging Face, how are Hugging Face models evaluated at scale? This is a great question. Reading model cards with 1,000 models returned and benchmarks do not work in specific domains. I've always been interested. You have 2 million models. How does this work?
Well, reading 1,000 model cards, something an agent is really good at. But kidding aside, I think, whenever a new model drop, you can see in the technical reporting in the model card, like how it compares to like other state-of-the-art models. So I was just talking about the Qwen 3 Next, and yes, in the model card and technical report, you see exactly how it compares on different benchmarks, etc. But what really matters, I think, to you, Ravi, is like, how does that translate to your use case, right? Do you really need to have like PhD level sort of math resolving capabilities if you're trying to answer a customer email, etc. So once you know what your use case is, I think the most valuable thing you can do is to create your own evaluation data set, right? These are the relevant questions that this model is going to be used for, and these are good answers for those questions. That's a little bit of work, but that's going to take you such a long way, because today Qwen 3 Next dropped, and you can just evaluate Qwen 3 Next on these questions are relevant to you, and then tomorrow it will be Qwen 4, tomorrow it will be the 5.5 from Microsoft. So if you have your custom evaluation data set, it will make it very easy for you to understand if this new model is worth anything for you or not.
So we're kind of going to the close, but there's one other person. So Takescake, who's actually a really kind of very regular attendee here, says, Hugging Face is amazing. Thank you for putting this on. We want to be there for the Friday AMA, but can't, sadly. Thank you for the open source things. I think there's actually a huge fan base for open source and community variants. So thank you very much for coming here. But I also want to, before we move on, we had a lot of questions, but Jeff will actually be on Azure AI Discord on Friday for our Foundry Friday AMA. So the QR code will take you there, or just go to ak.ms/modelmondays/discord. Bring your questions, try out the things that he talked about today. We'd love to see what kinds of domains and tasks you think are kind of valuable for Hugging Face, and what models you want to see on Azure. And with that, thank you so much for joining us, Jeff. Really, really appreciate your time. We'll put all these questions and come back to you for other links shortly. And with that, I'm going to move on to our final segment of the day. So as you know, in addition to having our model, I should basically say that we do have Model Monday Season 3 coming up. But before we do that, let me actually go to our final segment. Our final segment is customer stories. So in customer stories, we look at what are companies in the real world doing on Azure AI Foundry. Today, we have a fantastic example from DraftWise. Let's roll tape and look at the demo.
Of the day. My name is James. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DraftWise. And we started DraftWise to help lawyers draft and review contracts. Before DraftWise, I used to lead an AI product team at Palantir, and I've been working with AI and big data for over 10 years. Now, I know what most of you are thinking. You don't know anything about drafting contracts. Well, I'm here to say that you understand a different problem really, really well, so you know more than you think. And that other problem is writing code. I think everyone here agrees that it's incredible what AI can do writing code. What's incredible is this is Gary Tan. He's the president of Y Combinator. We're actually a Y Combinator company. And 25% of YC's latest batch vibe coded their startup. I think you hear big companies talk about replacing engineers with AI or supplementing them with AI. And I think regardless of which side of the fence you're on about engineers and AI, everyone agrees, and I think everyone at the conference agrees, that it's very exciting what AI can do writing code. But here's the thing. Contracts, legal contracts, are really similar to code in some material ways. So in code, you have these things called variables. You assign them a value, you manage it in one place so that you don't have to worry about changing it in 15 places. In contracts, we have a similar concept. It's called a defined term. In code, you can write logic one time, so you don't have to repeat yourself or reinvent the wheel. That's called a function, and you can invoke functions after defining them. In contracts, we have these things called clauses and cross-references. In code, you send your reviewer a diff view in GitHub or in diff. And in contracts, lawyers have a thing called red lines that they send back and forth. Even things like product requirements documents and JIRA tickets, lawyers have a similar concept, which are just term sheets and client emails. That's not where the similarity ends. These are both markets where skilled people take and read a lot of text and then write a lot of text. And they're pretty similar sized markets. Writing code is supported by a $7 billion DevTools market, so the market opportunity for companies like DraftWise is also just as big. See, when we started DraftWise 5 years ago, we were basically a DevTools company, but for lawyers. We built an IDE as our core product for legal contracts, It gave you things like IntelliSense, jumping to functions, linting. Our core knowledge product was basically Stack Overflow, but for law firms. And we built a robust code search product so they didn't have to reinvent the wheel for every new deal. But over the past couple of years, every dev tools company, the dev tools industry has basically transformed completely because of AI, and we followed suit. Nowadays, we are an AI agent company for drafting contracts. Our core knowledge product has gone from knowledge search to more a perplexity-like experience. We have a co-pilot for helping you negotiate, to find insights and find the best ways to beat your opposition. We also have an AI agent capable of drafting contracts, and that's what I'm going to show you today. Okay, so here's the backdrop. We have here open, in Microsoft Word, not VS Code, a purchase and sale agreement. That's basically an agreement you use when you want to buy commercial real estate. And the background here is I'm a lawyer, and my client said, hey, I really like what you did the last few times around. Just do the same thing for this deal too. I'm like, fine. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have DraftWise's agent perform some research to see exactly what the client meant. I'm going to prompt it to look for similar deals to this one that we've done with that client that they were happy with, find opportunities to improve the one we're currently working on by comparing it to those other ones. So in short, we're trying to improve the position of the buyer in on the positions they're taking in this purchase. And in a deep research-like way, what DraftWise is doing is it's actually doing that work, finding those deals, and it's able to do this because it's connected to the law firm's contract repository, and also it can see all the negotiations that happened in the past. So what it's doing is similar to deep research. It's running searches, it's combing through negotiation history, it's running analysis, and ultimately synthesizing for me exactly what I've requested. So what we have here now is a short list of improvements that are exactly what the client referred to when they said they were happy with what we did in the past. For example, what this first one is saying that we're going to extend the inspection period of the property and any materials, because obviously as the buyer, the longer the period, the better it is for us. This next one speaks to the fact that we're just going to make the seller provide those materials sooner. This next point is interesting. So as written previously, we would have to tell the buyer or tell the seller when we're good with the changes. But should we change our mind, we can't reverse that. So this protects us against that. The next two talk about making obligations optional or removing them entirely. This next one is kind of subtle. The words say one thing, but in reality, the implication is we can get a more robust insurance policy. So a number of changes, about 10 changes. All of them were found through analyzing other deals and comparing them to this one. And we were able to do that in just a couple seconds with a single prompt. So now that we have a short list of improvements, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have the drafting agent write the contract for me. So I'm sure everyone who's used AI coding agent is familiar with this part. We just tell it, show me the changes. And what's going to happen is it's going to stage the changes for me in a diff view so that I can easily review the changes it plans to make. And should I be happy with those changes, I can accept them into my document in a single click, or I can prompt it to revise or give it alternative feedback, much as you would with a coding agent. And just for reference, the alternative to this workflow is that I would have to juggle multiple Word documents open, flip between them, find little bits to copy and paste between documents. And then really, it's like a really error-prone and tedious process. But what I've done by flipping the paradigm with this drafting agent is that I've made it less error-prone and I've made it a lot easier because now we have the AI do a first pass of the changes and we review those changes, check them, and if they're good, it just takes a single click to accept those changes into our agreement. So you can see here, it's making changes related to that insurance provision, the thing that's going to help us get a more robust insurance policy. It's making certain obligations optional as opposed to mandatory. Basically, all of the improvements that has surfaced before, it's found a way to fix them, to remedy them, by using the language that we've used before. So we've made a number of changes now. And now what I'm going to do is, because we've made a number of changes, I just want to run a sanity check to make sure I haven't introduced any problems. So this is like running a linter or running a type check or a compiler. And what I'm going to do is, many law firms have a standard document of what they consider structural quality. I'm going to cross-reference it against that. I'm also going to generally cross-reference it and make sure that I haven't introduced inconsistencies. And that's what's happening here. And voila, no inconsistencies introduced, no structural problems introduced. We're good to go. In just basically 2 minutes, I've done what would normally have taken a lawyer over half an hour to do, to conduct deep research, to compare large blocks, hundreds of pages potentially against 20-page contract, and then to surgically make those copy and paste bits, and then tediously cross-reference against our quality checklist. The reality, though, is, as anyone who's used an AI coding agent knows, vibe coding has serious limitations. 75% of YC's batch did not vibe code their product. And this is even more true when you have something like a contract drafting agent. What I've shown you is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the actual engineering work that goes into this. We do a significant amount of work with AI, with data, with things in the background to make sure the quality is something that a law firm will actually use. And here's the thing, law firms actually use it. That's the best part. This is an excerpt from a case study that we've recently published with a top 100 law firm. They have over 120 users on DraftWise, and they talk about how it's game-changing in terms of conducting research and in terms of figuring out the right decisions to make on behalf of the client. In addition to that, not only do they have over 100 users, they also anticipate user growth this year to grow by 400%. And it's not just them. Over half of the top 10 law firms in the world use DraftWise. Dozens of the top US law firms use DraftWise. And in-house legal teams at Fortune 500 companies like PwC and Instacart also use DraftWise. So let's talk about how it works. I mean, the very first thing, and this is important for every application of AI, is that we have fundamentally sound software that originally we built for humans to use, and now is used by both humans and AI agents.
Sure. Yeah.
Under the hood, we also use reasoning models. You saw a lot of planning. You saw a lot of decision-making and tool use. And underpinning that are reasoning models that can make better decisions. And then the centerpiece of the quality comes from retrieval. We've built domain-specific, so law firm contract-specific retrieval mechanism. And that makes heavy use of Cohere's family of models. So they have Command R+, which is a generative model. They have re-rank, which is the state-of-the-art, one-of-a-kind semantic re-ranker that basically outperforms everything in the market. And they have Embed 4, which is the highest quality, efficient embedding model. You can get bigger and trade efficiency for near similar quality, but if you're ingesting millions of contracts, the size of your vector database is an implication. Oh, and of course, we're at a Microsoft conference. Underpinning all of this is Azure AI Foundry. And it's not just the models that we're running here. So we chose the Azure AI Foundry because our customers are some of the most sensitive people law firms, in-house legal teams. And Azure offers the security and privacy that our customers expect. But also, you've seen our tool. It's integrated in Microsoft Word. Our customers deploy their own clouds in Azure. They use Azure Active Directory. So we have a number of integrations across Azure. Using Azure AI Foundry made it really seamless to play with the rest of our stack. So that's it. If you're interested in working on dev tools for lawyers, but in an AI version, we're hiring. And if you know lawyers who could stand to benefit from AI, we're also selling. So thank you for listening. And I hope you enjoyed all the demos today.
All right, and we're back in studio, and we are wrapping up this final episode of season 2. I'm just going to share a few links before I kind of hand over to Sharmi so we can wrap up. For those of you asking, I think Rob McCormick said, early in my AI journey, I had this case, the law firm's contract repository. Should we think of it as a small language model or a RAG repository or neither? So I just wanted to share this link. This is on the left side is the link to the build video from which, or the build session from which this was taken. On the right side at the top, you'll see a QR code to the actual case study. A lot of the focus on this was actually on using coherent models. And I'm going to connect this to also the open source side of things, because one of the things you realize is domain-specific usage requires us to rethink how we actually customize our model. So definitely check it out. If you have other questions, come talk to us. As I mentioned, Foundry Friday AMA is happening this Friday, so don't forget to join us. And Sharla, I just need you to walk us through, shout us out for Model Monday Season 3 before I wrap up with the final slide.
Yeah. Yeah, for season 3, as you mentioned, Nitya, we are going to be bringing a lot of things that we're going to drop at Ignite, like the new announcements at Ignite, new models that we bring, whatever, not just at Ignite the next few weeks, since we're not going to be live next few weeks. So we will bring that information as well. But then what we want to also do is continue. I think the customer segment has been really useful. So we would love to continue showing that customer segment as part of Model Mondays, and of course highlights and even the spotlight. We would love to hear back from folks who have joined this call and even on Discord. What is working for you? What you would like to see more of, less of? That way we can kind of fine tune all the episodes to, no pun intended, but fine tune the episodes to make sure we cater to your needs and give you value for the time you're spending here and watching these podcasts. And then the other big thing I want to talk about is also I guess we also want to show a lot more of demos and hands-on examples. So how do we do that as well? More of that. And I'm working on a lot of things on my end in terms of solution, real architecture diagrams and solution use cases and things like that. So hopefully we can evolve the show to also show some of those things.
And I just want to weigh in here and say that, yeah, we'll be off the air on Model Mondays live stream, but that's exactly why you should join Discord, because one of the most popular segments is Sharmila is bringing us what are the 5 things that dropped this week. We'll continue to post those highlights on our Discord channel. So make sure you join our Discord. The link is right there, and join the Model Mondays channel there. Everything that we talk about today, we'll keep dropping things on there. And Sharmila, of course, you meant to use that pun. Fine tuning is perfect. Now, as Sharmila mentioned, one of the things that I've been working on, which I'm hoping to debut in October, is that Model Mondays was about awareness, to make you aware of what's going on. But you're all probably familiar with our For Beginners series, like our open source curriculum. We've been working on a Models for Beginners open source curriculum, and we'll start dropping lessons 1 a week sometime in October. To know when that kicks off, please join Discord for the launch. Again, you just want to go to ak.ms/modelmonday/discord, and we'll pin the announcement into the Model Mondays channel and hopefully use the Discord for discussions as well. And last but not least, for those of you around the world, AI Tour is kicking off in Chicago this week. It's a free 1-day event. So you should be able to go and register for it in a city near you. Check out that URL. Go check it out. We have fantastic sessions, including an entire track on AI for apps. Andrew says, so no longer on LinkedIn. No, that's not true. So the thing we were trying to say is that season 2 had 12 episodes. Today was the 13th one. And we'll have a small break when we're running up to Ignite, and then we'll start the season again. At that point, it'll be on LinkedIn, it'll be on YouTube, etc. But until the live streams restart, if you want to engage with us, we will still be doing Foundry Fridays on Discord. So all the information will still be available. So Models for Beginners, please do join our Discord, and we'll kind of put announcements over there. AI Tour is going on. We'd love to have you join. And last but not least, just want to say thank you to all of you for having stuck around with us. Please join our Discord. The RSVP link will be where we will announce the new season as well. So bookmark that and keep it live. And we have a GitHub discussions forum. If you go to that last link, feel free to comment on that. Tell us what you want to see in season 3. And with that, I just want to say thank you and a big shout out to our content producer, Anna, to all our hosts, Lee, Bethany, Carlotta, April, and all the speakers who've made this happen. So thank you so much. And we will see you on Foundry Fridays. Don't forget to join us for the Foundry Friday AMA this Friday on Discord. Bye.
Thank you all for joining, and thank you to our speakers. This session is a part of a series. To register for future shows and watch past episodes on demand, you can follow the link on the screen or in the chat. We're always looking to improve our sessions and your experience. If you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find that link on the screen or in the chat. We'll see you at the next one.